have to be open to hearing God. Not what somebody told you about God, but what did God say?
Hey guys, and welcome back to another Limitless conversation. Welcome back, welcome back. Yeah, I am your host, Authentically Sean, and your favorite friend, and you are joined for another episode and a good conversation. And we are joined today with my mom, Dr. Anu, is in the house.
I'm in the house.
Are you excited to be back, Mom?
I'm super excited to be back.
Because our episode last season was like one of probably the top viewed episodes of the season.
Really? Oh,
yeah, and y'all almost didn't get that episode, y'all. Y'all almost didn't get it. Okay, but not because of the message. It was just I was getting back acclimated. Okay, as I even am today.
She was trying to cut me out.
I was trying to cut it out, y'all. But the episode was so good. I'm like, I still have to post this. I was worried about the audio, but yeah, I was just getting acclimated, and I think. Even right now, I'm getting back acclimated. Because even though this is probably episode 2 or 3 y'all going to see, this is episode 1 of me being back in the vibe of filming. And so it's like one of those things where it's like riding a bike. It's like you just have to get on it and start doing it again. And don't overthink it, right?
Yeah.
So something I kind of want to bring new into this season of the episode, right? I'm really big on like perspective shifting. And so I think it'll be really cool if when I have guests come on, I would love to know, like, at this period in your life, what lens are you seeing things through? So as you're talking, what is the perspective you're sharing from? So, like, where are you at in this period of your life, this season? What does this lens look like?
You know, you always have these profound questions that you don't get a chance to think about. This is right on the spot.
Just
What is your perception? What lens am I looking through? I have so many lenses. I think the lens that is most profound, I guess if I had to speak to one specific one,
Or you can share.
it would be the lens of learning from happiness and not learning from pain.
I should.
I call it the tree of life. Yeah. And so it's a major adjustment because even from learning from happiness, you have to be open to being happy.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
And so I have had so many years of learning from pain or learning from trauma, which I've enjoyed those years. You know, that sounds weird to say.
Right.
But I've grown a lot in those years. But I've grown enough to know that happiness feels better.
Right. To expand through happiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I'm just, training my brain, my behaviors to moving inside of happiness and learning from that space. So that's the biggest lens I have right now.
Okay, and so like this is an intro question, but that was such a good point that I want to kind of dive into it a little bit if we can.
Okay.
What does that look like?
Yeah, so that's what I'm figuring out.
Okay.
Like what it looks like. So far, what it looks like is not going to trauma to understand.
Yeah.
So, if something happens, then I'll go, oh, I know how I triggered that, or that's a trigger for me, and I know why it's a trigger for me, and then I go down the space of healing, which is a beautiful space. So if you're there and you need to be there, don't jump. Stay there, stay where you need to be. If you need to move your lens.
Yeah.
But now for me, it's more like if that comes up, if something happens and I go to that space, I will immediately remove that thought and I'll go straight to happy. And I will just go, this is amazing. This doesn't feel bad. This doesn't feel like trauma. And then the more I have done that, the more happy I have. So now I get to be in happy spaces and enjoy that I'm there. Like, for example, somebody blocked me on Facebook. They got upset with me because I don't know what I did.
Okay.
And normally I would go right to, well, what did I do? Let's see how this happened. Let me call them and figure it out. And let's work through it. And this time I went, you know what? Thank you for blocking me. because this has taught me that I don't need to know why. I don't have to go down the rabbit hole to find out why, and
Yeah.
I don't have to chase the information. I'm
Yeah.
still happy.
Yeah.
I'm still at peace, and
Yeah.
so I'll sit here in my happiness and in my peace.
I
And
say.
so that was me just learning, I don't have to go there. It's okay for me to be well with myself. And if I offended someone in some type of way,
Yeah.
it's okay for them to take offense until they develop into their space where nothing offends them, which is the same space that I'm developing and nothing offends me.
Yeah.
It's just everyone's on their journey. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I resonate with that, for sure. That reminds me of like me. One of my things, kind of similar to your thing, was like me trying not to read people's minds anymore. Right.
Mm.
So now it's just like things just are what they are, and if there's something that needs to be spoken upon, then I'm not gonna go through the whole thing of trying to get it, pull it out, find that healing moment. It's like if it comes up, we will deal with it. Like it's,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't come up, then we don't have to. And as long as I'm at peace, if it bothers me enough, then I'll talk about it, right? But it's like being present. I feel like that's big for like just being present and not trying to, because trying to read people's thoughts was a trauma response. It was very much that. Trying to assume people are thinking is like a trauma response a lot of times. Because yeah, because sometimes it's like you have if you're just trying to be, you're always on edge, always on defense mode, so stepping out of that and just being like, presently, is there a threat? No. Okay.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
I love
It
that.
feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good.
I was happy. And
Yeah,
she's
it feels happy. That's
so
exactly what it feels like.
I would have already given y'all my lens, but I'll rehash my lens for this episode, since I asked my mom what her lens was. My lens right now is the lens of someone who is being intentional. So my thoughts of where I'm coming from are very intentional. They have purpose. They have a reason. They are strategic. They are strategic for where the goal is, which ties into discipline. So my lens right now is very intentional and very disciplined and with grace. That's all. Just gave me that word for me. I'm like, I liked it.
I like grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use that word even in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, with my kids, I say to them, I can share?
Yeah.
I say to them, because I created an affirmation for them to do every day. And I say, a part of the affirmation is, if I make a mistake, it's okay. I give myself permission and I give myself grace to know I'm still learning.
Yeah.
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 So you have to give yourself grace. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yes. Yay! I love that. so, so that's our lenses for today. So you guys know when you're hearing us speak, these are the perspectives that we're coming from.
Ah, that's a beautiful way to open up.
It's so good.
It's so good. I should expect nothing less of you, though. Love that. That's very good.
Yeah.
You know why?
Tell 'em.
Because I was just, I spend a lot of time with God. I talk to God because God really is my best friend, right? And so I was talking to God about an experience I had with somebody, and I was saying, it's very interesting that I speak from this space and they speak from a whole different space. So whenever I'm communicating, I know sometimes they don't understand anything I just said.
Right.
Because they're not sharing the same lens or the same perspective or the same space. Yeah. So I have to give myself, even in those moments, I have to give myself grace that I'm in a different space than where they are.
Yeah.
And not to get offended if they don't understand what I just said.
Right.
Or if their response doesn't vibrate in the same vibration of mine. I just have to go, we're just sharing two different spaces. Yes, I was just telling God that the other day. Yeah, and I was like, it's okay. Like, I don't mind, being around people who are in different spaces, because all spaces give you a chance to, how I see it is, to see the different variations of God.
Right. Uh-huh.
And so, but I did tell God, I said, but I do want some people that's in my space to play with.
Right. Or at least kind of close.
Right. That would be nice.
God, you listening? We know you are.
We know you are. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So, yeah. So, this episode, you guys, we are going to be talking about, we have a very loose outline. Okay. We're going to let the Holy Spirit move.
Okay.
Okay, but today we're going to be talking about fear. And that's what I got for y'all. We're going to be talking about fear. Look at the title. Yeah, that's going to give y'all the premise. But I do want to talk about fear has been something that has been not necessarily coming up for me, but just watching myself navigate, but not in fear. And so today I want to talk about the things that are helping me to navigate, not in fear, where the fear is even coming from, and that kind of thing. So if something comes up for you on this topic, I want to dive into your perspective too. Okay. So this kind of started, like, these messages for me, like, unfold over time. So this first started to unfold as a topic of conversation when I was talking to someone about me going back to school. And I'm like,
that person me?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is no. This is after I've already been in school now. Yeah. So I was talking to someone, I was telling them about me getting back in school, and I was saying, they were like, "Oh, you got a lot going on. You're doing a lot." And I was like, "Yeah." I said, and when I thought about going back to school, I was kind of like, "Girl, you trying to do a lot." I said, but I just said, I'm gonna pray on it, and God's gonna give me the strength, and it's gonna be fine. And then it brought up another quick side note is that's another thing I've been thinking about. How do I want the people in my life to support me? And I'm like, I want to tell all of my friends, if they see me straying, if they see me having a hard time, to remind me to pray. Because and then we had a total conversation, but there's something that happens for me when I'm having a hard time, and I just take a moment and pray about it. And once I give it to God, it's just a level of peace comes over me, and I can power through whatever it is. And I was explaining, like, I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then the more I kept thinking about it, I'm like, I think part of it is just like the ability to just let go. Like, once you talk to God about it and you give it to God, it's just like, all right, I'm gonna just let it go and we're gonna keep going. But there's something magical that happens for me when, like, I'm having a hard time. I'm like, God, give me the strength. God, I'm stressed right now, but I know I can get through this. Give me the strength, and let's go. And then, boom, I'm like off. Have you had an experience with that, like that you want to expand on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I like this topic, fear, because we were having a conversation the other day, and I said, there should be a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know what we said.
And that's why we're here.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Forget.
No, we paused the whole
Some of the
episode.
stuff, right.
We paused the whole episode on the phone. Then it's like, okay, let's do this in front of the camera.
But I remember when I was dealing with fear now. Yeah. When I was in the hospital, and I was sharing with you that, God had told me that there's no such thing as things not already being done. So every experience that I could possibly ever have has already been established. So all I really have to do is walk up to it. And when God told me that, it took away my desire to pray and ask God for something. Because to ask him for something would imply that he had told me a lie, because it's already done.
Right.
So I'm not a person who goes and says, God, will you do this for me?
Right.
So when I had gotten sick, for the third time I got sick, the first time my uncle came and said, go back, it's not your time. The second time, my dad was like, go back, it's not your time. But this
We're saying that she's
time,
talking about like in the spirit, y'all.
yeah, in
In
the
case y'all are
spirit.
wondering.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Because these are my ancestors that have passed on.
Yeah. That's
So
girl
when I was in
power.
the hospital and
That's what's up.
they were saying, no, it's not your time. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll jump back. And so this time, no one came to my rescue.
Dun, dun,
Duh, duh,
dun.
duh. I was like, where are the people?
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, they're not here. And the doctors are like, yeah, you're not in a good space. And so immediately I think about the first couple times, like, I'm about to die. And so I was like, well, I can't pray and say, God, will you heal me? Because that's already done.
Right.
I'm scared at this point. Like, I don't know. Because you can't unknow what you know.
Right.
So I didn't know what to do because it was already done and I'm scared. In that moment, I'm feeling a little bit of fear. And I knew to say this to God. I said, just that. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I don't think I have the strength to do whatever is needed to be done to get me to where you already promised me, which is life. I know that it's my job to get up and get there because you've already promised it to me, but I don't know how to get there. And at this moment, I need your help. I need you to help me get there. I'm going to lay down. I'm going to rest. I'm going to have to totally trust you to drive this thing because I don't know how to drive it. And I don't know what else to do other than to ask for help. And I rested and I healed and I got out of the hospital. And so that was my one of my biggest fears because my fear was how do I get up and get to life on my own when I'm not strong
Right.
enough to do it and I can't ask you because I know it's there.
Yeah.
So now I have to navigate myself to my promise inside fear.
Right.
So my solution was to ask for help. I was like, I can actually ask for help.
Yeah.
I can ask for help to get there. It didn't tell me I couldn't ask for help. It said it's there.
Yeah.
And that was really big for me because I'm
Why
telling you,
so?
baby, mommy was scared.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know you promised it. I know it's my responsibility,
Yeah.
but I don't have the strength
Mhm.
or the know-how. Ain't nobody up here telling me what to do. You ain't send no people.
Right.
Where the people at?
Gotta say, this is me and you this time.
It's just me and you this time.
Yeah.
So that was a huge fear of mine.
Yeah.
You can't unknow what you know.
Yeah. Can you elaborate? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Can you explain what you mean when you say you don't know what you know?
I can't
Or
unknow what I
can't unknow what you
know.
know?
What I know is that it's already done.
Gotcha. Okay.
And what I know is that I'm responsible for getting myself
For
there.
meeting. Right. Okay.
For meeting it where it is.
Right.
So I couldn't sit in, it's not done. Please, God, let it be done. I couldn't sit in that space.
Right.
Please, God, just let me live, because I already know I do.
Yeah.
But now I have to find out how I get to the end of this story.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I couldn't unknow what I know. I had to create another path, or God had to show me another path, and that path was to ask for help. That the help didn't leave because the picture was done.
Yeah.
That was good for me just then. The help did not leave because I knew the picture was there. The picture's painted. The reality is there. It's mine to have if I walk up to it. That knowing does not remove the fact that I can ask for help still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like God's not like, hey, here's the pinpoint. You find your way there.
Right.
It's like, well, no, here's the pinpoint, but I'm with you as we go there.
As we go there.
Yeah.
And in this case, that joker had to do it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And
That kind of reminds me of in our first episode that we actually did together. We talked about God being in the sky, and we talked about like sometimes I have to go back to believing in God that way. And then versus like when you go into the knowledge half, it's like everything is on you. Everything falls on you. It's all on you to carry. And that was like one of my big struggles going into because I call it spirituality, but I'm gonna try to break this down a little bit more.
Okay.
But you have like, I feel like for me, my experience with Christianity and stuff was like, God was this thing, if your father, this thing in the sky that was kind of watching you and assisting you and navigating whatever. But you believe God to do everything for you. But then when I moved into spirituality and I understood about law of attraction and how the energies work and the frequencies work and aligning with things, it's like it became I have to align with these things. And it was all on me to do it. So if I didn't have the strength in that moment to do it, like what was I gonna do? And that's when I understood why it's important, why people need to have this belief of something outside of them for the moments where you feel weak or where you feel like you can't do it. So that just reminded me, like what you were just saying, reminded me of the connection of the two, the bridging of like the knowledge with the, what do you call it, tree of life, as my mom explains it.
Yeah, tree of knowledge versus tree of life.
Tree of knowledge versus tree of life.
Yeah.
That's like that perfect sweet spot of like they both exist. And like I say, once you go into the spirituality route and you know the tree of knowledge, you can't unknow it. Like it's already embedded in you. So it's just like, now that I have this, how do I bridge it with this other half, with this other thing too, as far as the faith and the trusting in the universe and trusting in God and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I wanted to just say this when you said the law of attraction, because sometimes, in my spiritual journey, I love what you're talking about on yours. Mine was the same.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people battle with that law of attraction versus their religion, right? And ours, is specifically Christianity. But there's a verse that as a man thinketh, so shall he be, which is the law of attraction. They're the same, which is the law of attraction. Whatever you think in your mind is actually the reality that you create. That's, biblically supported. I just want to say that for people who might be fighting themselves with that, law of attraction and their biblical belief system. Yeah. And then you said something else about the sky god, or the god in the sky.
Yeah.
And being in that space. I remember when I was praying to God and I was trying to get to the Bible to get some words from God, and that joker would not talk to me, and I thought I had pissed it off. I was like, did I make you upset?
Right.
And there's like, that's when Uncle, I don't know if I said this in the last one, but that's when Uncle said, well, who is God? And I said, the Word of God? And he said, and where's the Word of God? And I said, it's in the Bible. That's why I'm trying to figure out why he won't talk to me. He kept asking me that question, and I didn't get it. And then finally he kept asking me, and I got it. He said, where's God? I said, he said, what is God? I said, God is the Word of God. God, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and God was the Word. And he's like, okay, so where is God? And I finally said, in me. And he said, and yeah. And that's why the pause is not the Bible, because God wants you to go inside yourself and find the God within you.
Yeah.
And so that was my moment that God was not the sky God anymore.
Right.
It was the God that was in me, the God that was in you, the God that's in everywhere.
Yeah.
In that moment, or in that time, rather, that's when I realized that it wasn't just a sky God. Sky God, sure, but not just a sky God.
Sky God, sure. Yeah.
Right. Sky, star, moon, whatever. It's all
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
It expanded for me in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love what you said, because that also was what I was experiencing in the hospital. And I said, you can't unknow what you know.
Right,
I couldn't go to
right.
the sky God the way I knew God to be.
Yeah.
Like just someone sitting in the sky waiting to grant my wish based on how good I was.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have that reality anymore. That reality is gone.
Oh.
Old Helen is gone. Yeah, that was gone. That belief system is gone.
We're about to venture off because I feel like this is going into something else, but it's coming up, and so I want to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
So in another conversation I was having with the same person, we talked about God, and they were trying to understand how what I meant when I said I was spiritual, and I never had no one ask me that question, so I'm like, I don't really know how to explain that, but I'm like, well, anyway, I tried to explain it, but it's kind of hard for me to explain my relationship with God, but as they pointed out, it's just that it's a relationship with God, and they're like, oh, so it's kind of like you're having a connection with God, and I'm like, yes, it's not a my experience with my spirituality, and here's even part of my lens is like my spirituality isn't necessarily tied to something that I read or a book or anything like that. Not that anything's wrong with that if that is yours, but for me, it's like I experience life and I just talk to God through life, and then I so what I think Christians might say is like, what would Jesus do? That do Christians be saying that, right? What would Jesus do? That's like a thing.
Oh, they probably do. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I think Christians be saying like, what would Jesus do? And so now, as I'm navigating life, and I'm human, I'm not Jesus, so I'm flawed sometimes, or not even flawed, but I have different layers. That isn't always the highest vibrating version of God, but what I do now is I think about what is the highest vibrating version of this. So, like, if I'm outside, I'm having a spiritual experience. If I drop trash, it's like, well, the highest version of God, when He leave that trash on the ground, it's bad for the environment. Like, pick up that trash, Or if I am talking to you, to someone about, maybe we're talking about money, it's like, what would the highest vibration of God talk about that like? Because are you coming from an abundant mindset? Or are you coming from a lackful mindset? So my experience with my spirituality is more or less like I just live life from a spiritual lens, and I allow God to expand me in that way. So like that's my I don't want to say religion, but that's my thing. That's how I live with God, tapping into the emotional part and all that kind of stuff. So I said that because that's just what that made me think of when you were saying that. Like, it's having that relationship with God, where the God is inside of you because you are integrated. Like, you have that, or for me, I have that connection with God, and it's in everything that is happening in my life. There's not a part of life that doesn't happen that God's not in. And then that brings me also to something that I know we was gonna touch on, but like I also want to talk about for me, and I know for her too, God being everything. Like, I don't personally see it as like God and the devil. I see it like maybe as like a higher vibrating God, but everything to me is God. There's nothing that God is not a part of. There's nothing that is separate from God, which I think for me has helped with demonizing certain things or parts of myself or things that I have done, as seeing it like that's the devil or that's bad. It's like, no, all of it's just God, and all of it's just an experience that I'm having. All of it's just maybe I'm choosing to be the abundant God, or I'm choosing to be the laughful God, and all of it's fine. But that's like a big thing that for me, that I really adapt to. Is just that I love, because I never feel separate from God. If God is in everything, I am never separate from God. But if I'm off with the devil and I got something with the devil going on, like that mindset just didn't work for me. So I have found that to bring me closer to God, because even if I'm having a bad moment, I know that God is still there with me in it, and we're never separate.
So to speak to what you just said, it made me remember when God told me I am the living word, which was very profound. And this might shock some people who read the Bible, but everybody who wrote in that Bible is dead.
Ooh, we talk about some hot stuff today. Okay.
They gone. As you guys say, dead anyway. I don't believe in death, but according to your belief system, they're dead and gone.
Yeah.
And so God didn't die with them. God did not leave with them. And so sometimes people forget to honor that God is still alive, that God is the living word. It's living today, it speaks today. It didn't stop talking because they're gone. And so, when you go to church, or when I was going to church, they didn't teach, listen to the God that speak, the God within you, or God when it speaks to you. It didn't give you that as a teaching, so it kind of just gave you the book and said, this is what it is. I remember telling God one day, they don't have the same situations that I have. Some of these people have some beautiful situations, but I don't have their situations, and I don't necessarily see my situation in here. These are some questions that I began to ask God. This is how I learned all these things, because God began to speak to me and tell me I'm the living word. Listen to me, talk to me, because God took the Bible away from me. I don't know if I told you that. It was years. I couldn't even pick the Bible up. I thought I had made him upset.
Wow.
But that's when I went through the journey of, no, this me and you.
Yeah.
This me and you, babe.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. I wasn't all at first. I was like, I made you mad.
Right.
But as I kept on going, I had this beautiful love story with God.
Yeah.
And it became my Bible.
Yeah.
It became my experience. When I
I
read
like that,
somebody
my
else's,
Bible.
yeah, when I read somebody else's experience, it's a beautiful thing. I don't get it twisted. It's inspiring and uplifting. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Okay?
Jesus.
But what I'm saying is, when it's personal, when it's yours, man, I can't dispute my experience.
Right.
See, you can tear down that Bible and say, you weren't there, I wasn't there, you don't know what happened, this person found this, they took this out of the Bible. They can do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But when it's personal, it can't be done.
Take it.
Can't take it. It's yours. So I love that you said yours came from the inside. Where else should it come from?
Right.
Where else should it come from?
Right.
It should come from the inside. And so I think sometimes people don't really honor that, because my way may not be your way. And the way I'm going is significantly important to me, because it's the way God gave to me. And so, but I don't let my ego take control and think that my way is the only way. We're unique individuals. You may have to take a whole nother path. And so when people forget that, they get into arguments with people, and they can ask questions like, well, what do you believe? Because it ain't looking like what I believe. It might not look like what you believe, because you need to believe whatever it is you believe in over there.
Yeah.
And I need to believe what I'm believing over here.
And that's like, so when we were having the conversation and I was talking about spirituality, I'm like, it's customizable. And when I said it, I kind of stepped back though, because I kind of felt like that sounds so crazy to say and so like loosey goosey. And how do I say this in a way that someone knows it's very structured, but it's structured to the person. But I didn't know how to express it in that moment. And so I love how you just articulated it as well. Like, that's really what makes it a customized experience, because ultimately we are not here to experience the same thing. We have collective experiences that we have in the world, but our role that we play in it is so unique. I'm getting chills. It's so unique. And so therefore that relationship has to be there.
Can I give you an example?
Yes.
Another good one.
Yes.
Because I have friends and I love to watch them. Don't get it twisted. Love you guys. Keep going. They're faith-based people.
Yeah.
Love it. I am not faith-based, and I'm okay with not being faith-based. God knows I'm not faith-based. Give me the evidence. I need you to show me so I will know. That's just how I'm created. But because I'm created that way, people who are faith-based don't understand my journey.
Right.
And they would think that I don't love God and I don't trust God. The God knows me and knows I'm not faith based. It's not gonna send me on the ledge and tell me to jump.
Right.
Cause I'm not doing it. And it knows me. And it don't have anything to do with whether I know God loves me or not. I'm not created that way. Stay your faith-based self over there. I'ma love you. I love watching it. I tell God all the time, ooh, I love how you let them do that. Give me my money in the bank. I'ma need that in the bank before I make a move. Or give me my food in the refrigerator before I cook. I'm not going to the refrigerator looking at it going, I wish a steak was here. I know it's coming. I'm not doing that. The steak gonna be in my refrigerator. And I'm gonna cook it.
And then you gonna cook it.
Two different paths.
Yeah.
But mine is still honored by God. And theirs is still honored by God. You know what I mean? So it's that's what customizable means. God meets you where you are. It doesn't meet you. It doesn't like say to you, get here and then I'll meet you.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
It meets you where you are. It knows exactly who you are and what you are. And it will meet you there every time. And there's no such thing as God not being there. I agree with you.
Yeah.
God is everything. You know, they teach you in church, he's omnipotent, omnipresent. And then they say, but that's the devil. Yeah. Well, how can it be the devil if God is everything?
Yeah.
You're going to tell me one or the other. And I prefer to believe that God is everything.
Yeah. My preference, too.
And I wouldn't serve a God that wasn't everything.
That wasn't everything.
I remember, I'm going to shut up. I remember I told God, I can't, this is how I know God is everything.
Yeah.
I said, it's you and the devil. And sometimes the devil wins. I can't even play with you.
Sometimes the devil wins.
I can't play with you because you don't always win. You want me to lay down my life and serve you and praise you and worship you when you lose sometimes. Nah, that don't even sound good.
Right, I like it.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the one that win all the time. I'm sorry. That's when I knew, oh, you everything.
You're everything.
Got it.
You're everything. And I've even heard some people say that God allows things. That's how I've heard it been expressed too. And I'm like, okay, I get that. You know, but I still think also, I think God allows God. I don't think it's God allowing the devil. I think it's God allowing you to exist in that part of God. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Pick what side you want to play on.
Yeah.
You want to be over here on peace, love, and joy, or you want to be over here on chaos, whatever you like.
And God is so neutral. Like, God is neutral to me on all matters. On all matters. So it's like, okay, I felt someone get triggered when I say that, but go back and watch that episode if you want to talk about that, because so but God is neutral. God doesn't have. That's why I just love God, because it's like, one of my other big things is
it loves itself.
Yeah.
That's the best
and
way
everything
to say
that it creates.
And everything it creates.
To me and my friend were talking about this. It's only ever us, by the way, that holds the judgment and the unforgiveness. And because I know you good at this Christian stuff. So I know there's something with Christianity where they say, like, God already forgave it. Like, once you give it to God, what is it? Like, once you gave it to God, God already forgave it. Or it's something like that along those lines. But even like when we say you do something bad and you're like, oh, God's so mad at me. It's like, God's not. In my perspective, God's not. God is fine. But the only reason you're still having those negative results or attracting those negative things is because you haven't yet forgiven yourself. But God is neutral. God isn't. And that has been the thing that always brings me back when I have moments. It's like, I know that God doesn't see me that way. I know that God forgave me for that. It's actually reminded me of part of this phone call that we had that inspired this whole podcast episode. We don't always see us how God sees us. And that's been another part that's tied to the prayer for me is sometimes if I'm not seeing myself in the purest form that I know that God, the highest vibrating version of God, sees me, God, I might need you to take the wheel. Because you know the truth of my heart. Even if my mind and the world around me is deceiving me in this moment, you know the truth of me. So I trust you to take the wheel right now. I'm going to let this go, and I'm going to give it to you. And then so now that brings up the channeled song for today, too. So the channeled song, because I love music, y'all. Ooh.
And she can sing. And I'm sorry that I told you couldn't sing.
She did. Oh, okay. I'm looking just
My
y'all.
mom
Put this
and,
up the bar
and
low.
daddy told me I couldn't sing. And when you were singing, you were sounding like me. So maybe they was lying to me. But I can't sing today.
It was lying to me.
But I know I can't sing today.
She got a little tune.
No tune at all.
It is a tune. Little auto tune.
But you do have a beautiful voice, and I'm so sorry that I told you couldn't sing.
Oh, thank you, Mom.
I did not. I meant it when I said it.
She did.
But it's not true.
She basically, what happened is she know I'm about to blow up for Beyonce, and that's what she's trying to make up.
Well,
like,
you know,
she's trying to, so she, so I take her when I go. Okay, no. But I'm congested, y'all.
Sing, my child.
I'm congested. But the song today, you guys, is "Let Go" by PJ Morton, and a little bit of what he says is, soon as I stopped worrying how the story ends, when I let go and I let God have his way. That's when things start happening. Doors and windows start opening. I let go and I let God. I let God have his way. And then, as you fast forward through the song, you get to the end where the Walls group comes on. And she says, now I'm so congested. She says, you gotta let go and let God. Take your hands off it. You gotta let God. Take your hands off of it and let God be God. 'Cause you tried it already on your own. And you couldn't make it. But God, he can handle it. Your ugliest things. He can handle it. Your ugliest things. Like, your ugliest things. If you cannot see you enough to see the beauty in you, give it to God, because God can handle it, and God can still see the beauty in you while holding space for you.
Yes.
God is my therapist, my friend, my man, everything. My father, my mother, my everything. Everything. And so if sometimes when we have moments where we're being hard on ourselves or down on ourselves, we have to, in those moments, give it to God, because God knows the truth of who was created, who it created, and the purity of you, even if you're having a hard time seeing the purity of you. And God is never angry with you, never angry with you, never upset with you, never holding a grudge against you. Not the God I navigate with.
Because he can, if that's who you serve.
If that's who you serve. Okay?
He can.
But for me, it's only ever my human mind holding that stuff. Because I have this human emotion and all that kind of stuff. So it's only ever me holding those grudges. And so I don't have to worry, like, oh, I'm not going to get this thing because I did this bad. Like, all that stuff is like, that's only me creating that reality. It's not God, though. It's not Source, because Source holds no judgment. Source is all things and is neutral. So, yeah.
I have a class called Who is God? It's a part of the doctor's program.
Yeah.
And it's also a class that sits outside by itself. And I probably shouldn't give the answer, but I am.
Like, if y'all go, okay, I'm going to put a little time step or something. Skip over, y'all, if y'all go take the class so y'all don't know the answer.
Yeah. Fast forward.
Don't be trying to cheat.
Don't cheat.
Because God's watching.
Because God's watching! It's called Who is God? And the reason that I created that class, Who is God, is to give mankind an opportunity to see who is the God that they're serving. Yeah. And sometimes, myself included, not today, but myself was included in this, I was serving a God that was judgmental. I was serving a God who was punishing. I was serving a God who wouldn't give me everything I asked for. I want you to really hear me when I say that because that's serious. And I was committed to that God. That God exists, it's no problem because God is everything, right? So that,
I'm sorry, I just want to.
yeah,
Can you imagine how hurtful that is and how hard that is? The
yes.
one thing that's supposed to love you unconditionally, you have that leaves you with that I don't know that I just can't imagine how hard that is
Yeah,
of an experience.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
You did not have that experience.
Not necessarily. No.
No, but since I was raised as a Christian, I didn't raise you guys that way, right? Or bring you up. I don't use that word raised because we're not animals, but I was brought up with that God. And when I do coaching sessions, I often hear because I'm a spiritual coach. So when people are coming in to spiritually develop, I get to hear where I was years ago, 30, 40 years ago. Hate that. when I ask them questions like, when they say, which way do I go? I don't know if I'm doing it wrong. I'm unhappy. And I will say things like, you're unhappy? And they go, yes. And I say, do you serve a God that would make you unhappy? And they will say, yes. And I say, how do you like serving that God? And they go, I never thought about it. And I go, you should think about it. That's really something to think about. Like, who is God to you? So for me, I don't serve the judgmental side of God. Is it there? Yes. I don't participate.
Yeah.
I don't serve the God that doesn't give me everything I want. I get everything I ask for. Not, I don't go through that in God's time or when God thinks it's a good time. God always thinks it's a good time.
Yeah.
I don't have those kinds of things. And I don't have back conversations to use it as a protection mechanism. Because then when do you not need it as a protective mechanism inside your reality that God is negative or doesn't give you what you want or punishes you and all those spaces because mankind gives it so many excuses to serve that God. And that was a very big release for me. It took me years to get there. I didn't get there overnight, but it took me years to release that God to fully worship, serve, and give my life to the God that was better than me. Because I would say to God, you're not better than me. Like, you are harsh. And I can't do that. So this was my journey in trying to find God. And I had to find out, I remember telling God, I'm not trying to go too far, but I was like, you going to give me hell for 90 years on earth and forever? I wouldn't do that to my kids. You're worse than me. You had to really sit down and figure out who is God to you. And that's important.
And it's like it's safe for you to do that.
It's so safe. Ooh.
It's safe for you to do that.
It's so safe for you to do that.
And it's okay. It's safe and it's okay for you to do that, for you to explore that, for you to ask God questions, for you to allow the answers to come in that may be different than what you've always heard or known. Coming in.
Coming on in.
Yeah.
To me, that's saying the system is falling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's happening to let the system fall.
Yeah.
Let it fall.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, because even as you were saying that, I could feel the resistance of people saying, oh, no, 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 no. It's got to go this way. No, it has to go the way God said it. You have to be open to hearing God. Not what somebody told you about God, but what did God say?
Yeah.
Now, if God told you to stay in that, then stay. But if God didn't tell you, then go. Move.
And trust your relationship with God. Trust you. God is inside of you. It is not outside of you. So trust you. Trust the things that you're hearing, the things that you're thinking. And there's no such thing as a wrong step in that. Every step is divinely created. So, yeah, and divinely blessed. So,
Yes.
I'm gonna fix this, y'all. So when y'all keep watching, it's gonna be fixed. But I want y'all to know that's the second time that dropped because the spirit is up in here right now. I
Breaking
feel it as
down.
we're even talking about it. Like I feel it. That's why I can feel the emotions of the people who have had that experience. Like
Yeah.
imagine you can't even turn to God in these moments because you have shame and you have fear of your father coming down on you. You know what I mean? Like not having that safe space, if you don't have it at home, if you don't have it with the humans, and then you don't have it with the omni thing that created you,
Yeah.
it's not fair to have been taught and raised that you can't have your own relationship with God and that God is even outside of you. The preachers are beautiful. I love a good sermon. They have a relationship with God, and you're allowed to have your own too.
That part. That part.
Yeah,
That part.
that's good. I'm gonna fix this, y'all.
Yeah.
It's fixed and we're back. I just want to say, like, maybe that's why the energy was so like nervy before we started today because this is something that is truly transformative and impactful and like it's shaking the tables a little bit. In some rooms, it might shake the tables, but the fact of the matter is there's no point in me having this platform if I'm not going to share some things that I feel like I really need to share. And and if it resonates with you, either way, it brings you closer to your truth. That's what I always say with this podcast. Like, if you agree or you don't agree, either way, you have heard something like, that ain't me, that ain't for me. And then it brings you closer to your truth. And then if it's for you, and it's like sometimes needing to like know that you're not tripping and you're not alone, I hope that in this moment, like, you get to see that.
I want to say something.
Yeah.
I want to hold your hand when I say it.
Okay.
And you're my daughter, so just trust me.
Okay.
Listen, you started this thing off with a powerful prayer.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this because I just feel led to say it. And I'm holding her hand because I know she's going to touch and agree with me. But if she doesn't, she could go, I don't agree with that. But let me just say this to you. It is okay to find God for yourself. I promise you, it is okay to do that. It is okay to remove everybody who is in your ear telling you who God is. It is okay to remove that. There's nothing wrong with finding God yourself. And it can be scary because they put so much fear. Ooh, that's even a beautiful topic. They put so much fear in you trusting your own voice. They put so much fear in you trusting your own self, in your own journey, in your own personal relationship with God, that they make it so you can't ask a question and you can't go outside what was taught. And the minute someone challenges you to go outside of that, you get scared. You're fearful of hell. You're fearful of everything they told you to be afraid of. I promise you, it's okay to talk to God yourself, to hear from God yourself. There's nobody else you should trust more than you and God. Nobody. Not even me, not even her, not nobody should you trust more than you and God. Let it fall down. Let them walls fall down. You know, I say this prayer. I said this prayer. I say this prayer all the time. God is just me and you. Don't let anything come in here and destroy me and you. If it's not something that I need, don't even allow it. Don't let it come near me. I trust you in that. Don't let it come. And then I trust that because I said that, it won't. And you should do that. it's within your power. It's within your right to have a conversation, communicate, and trust you in God. It's the best gift you will ever give yourself. I promise you that. Ashe.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
That's fear. It's fear. And it's okay to let go of fear to get there. God is on the other side of that. It really is.
God and God more abundantly. What they say.
It's on the other side of that. But you got to be able to let go of all the fear-based stuff. You got to be able to let go of all the fear-based stuff. God didn't give you the spirit of fear. That's what the Bible says, right? It didn't give you the spirit of fear. So I'm talking to that person who's in the Bible. God didn't give you the spirit of fear. Based on your own belief system, you shouldn't have the spirit of fear. So don't have fear. If they tell you God doesn't give you the spirit of fear, then what are you afraid of? Go get you some. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Go get you some. Go get you some. And when I say go get you some, I mean go get you some God. Go get you some Yahweh. Go get you some, whatever you call it, go get it. And don't get twisted on the name, because God understands all languages, everything. It understands you. It understands you. Go get it. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry about that.
No. Go listen. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. That's why this was this episode. That's why this was this episode. I mean, there's no better person I could pick to talk about this kind of stuff than my mama.
I love you so much.
I love you too. There's no one better. There's no one better. Who y'all think I learned from?
Who y'all think I learned from? We were in here learning from each other.
Yeah, who you think we learned from?
Hey, God, the brother, the father, the sister, the aunt, and the mother. And the cousin, and the friend, the husband, and... Well, I ain't going to say wife because I don't swing that way. But for those who do the wife, I got no problem with it. It loves itself. In all ways, it created itself. Yes.
So today we talked about fear. Maybe fear a little different than I thought. That's why I told you I looked at the title, because I didn't know what it was going to lead this thing. Before we started this episode, we prayed over the episode, and we asked God to guide it. And if God didn't guide it, I don't know who did, because this was not the plan. But you know what, God? I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to put something out that to me feels a little risque. But I'm going to trust you. This is part of trusting yourself, trusting yourself with God, trusting the process too. So, yeah.
I want to say one more thing.
I can see it on your face. I was about to say, before I close out, you got something to say? I can see it.
Yes.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say two things.
Okay.
And the first thing I want to say to you, so I'm going to look at you.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you, because I do know that when you get into a relationship with God, people who don't have a personal relationship with God can totally not understand your walk. And sometimes that can be overwhelming and frustrating, because it can also feel like judgment. But I'm so proud of you for not swaying who you are to make other people comfortable around you. Maintaining your anchor in God, the way that you and God have created it, has been a joy to watch. And I find comfort in it. I rest in it. I have no worries with you at all. And that's a good space to be as a parent, to have no worry about your child, because you trust in the relationship with God and have no worries about your child interacting with others who may not have the same walk. So I'm very proud of how you stand in your knowing of God. It doesn't shift, waver, or change. And I'm very proud of you for that.
Thank you.
It's beautiful to see.
Thank you.
And the other thing that I want to share, um, which I thought was going to be the one thing that I would share, is that when someone says that they're something opposite of what you are, and if you are the person who wants to be something opposite than what you have been taught, it's okay to do that. It's okay to be opposite of what the norm is. In fact, I think the Bible even says there's a remnant, which doesn't mean the masses. It says a remnant. That's different than the masses. I remember saying, if everybody going that way, I'm going to go the other way because I'm not following the masses. It's okay to not follow the masses. And for those who are around people who are not following the masses and you get confused because the person who you are with, your friends, your cousins, your family, they are different than what you are experiencing. Be open. I'm encouraging you to be open. I'm not encouraging you to be swayed. I'm not encouraging you to be persuaded. I'm encouraging you to be open, to allow God to be expanded and not be only to what you are right now, because God really is a living and growing being, or a living being. And if you let it inside of you, it becomes a growing being. Allow yourself to expand beyond what you know now. That which doesn't grow dies, right? So don't look at it and not expand yourself. Allow yourself to experience your expanded version that stands before you, sharing things with you. Allow yourself to expand. Yeah. That's all I want to say.
I want to add one piece to that. This thing, I say my bestie, when we be doing things we got no business doing, I say, I trust you and you trust me. And it's okay if we stray off to do things. We know we're going to make our way back. So that in my mind, that came up when you just said that. Because you're allowed to explore. So even if you stray off and you try something new and you don't like it, that's okay, because you always find your way back to the truth.
Find my way back.
Big world, but you got it crazy. Find your way back. Exactly. That was good, Ma. High five.
Yeah,
that was.
I can't sing, but I got the parts in my head.
That was good. That was the perfect song. Oh, that was good. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up this episode, as we do every episode, with how are we deciding to be limitless? Post this conversation right here. So post this conversation. How are you deciding to be limitless?
You're asking me the question?
Yes.
How am I deciding to be limitless? By not having limits.
And I'm going to just hijack that and say, by not putting limits on God.
That part.
Because he ain't got no limits. The limit does not exist. Y'all know that? Y'all know that reference? If y'all know that reference, y'all got to let me know. That's from Mean Girls. Yes. So, thank you guys for tuning in to another conversation. I so appreciate you being here. I hope that it expanded you. I hope you got something from it. I know you did. Okay? So, if you want to follow my mom, tell them, can they follow you somewhere?
Sure.
Is your stuff up right now?
No.
Okay.
I'm on a sabbatical because I am actually doing what you talked about earlier, going inside of joy, and most of my space has been trauma, so I'm changing the channel now.
Shame.
So that has, I took a year off of, that hasn't been a year, but maybe 6 months off of work.
Shame.
So, but you can follow me, DOCTANU.
Is there a dot between that?
Anu. I think so. DOCT.ANU. Yeah. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They're all the same.
Okay.
Because I was taught by the best.
Hello.
Dr. New.
And you guys can follow me on my social media at Authentically Sean. And if you want to follow the podcast, all the links are in the description. It's Limitless Conversations Pod, I believe. But either way, it's in the description, y'all. So this has been expansive and amazing. Thank you, Mom, for coming on.
Thank you
so
for
glad we did
having
this.
me. I'm so glad we did this too.
I'm so glad we
Thank
did
you for
this.
my time with you.
Yes, thank you. So, and for sharing with the world. Yee! Love you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.